What's that in the sky? It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Talk
Geekly. Holy heroes for hire, geeks and geekettes. Tom here, the resident Kryptonian within the Fortress of Solitude. And of course, I am joined always high above, brooding on top of Wayne Tower. He is my friend. He is your friend, Cody.
Yo, what's up, geeks and geekettes? It is Talk Geekly, bringing the latest and the greatest from comic books to video games and so much more from the geek culture. And man, oh man, do we have some heavy-hitting news and fresh titles fresh out the oven. But first, before anything, Tom, what's been up, my man? How's your week been? What have you been getting down to lately?
Pretty good week, dude. Gotta be honest with you. Super stoked for the new game that I'm working on. I think that this has just been taking over every aspect of my life, trying to make a video game. And this 30-day game jam where I'm now trying a Metroidvania style game. I can't wait to get into this, into the nitty gritty and get it out there. Super stoked. But I mean, what's going on with you? I know recently you got that Switch for your mom. I'm sure you guys are playing a lot of that together, but what else is going on?
So yeah, we kind of had a little bit of a family night where we all got together and started playing a little bit of Mario Kart, just everybody, my sister, my mom, and a whole bunch of friends. Outside of that, though, I did pick up Little Nightmares 2, and we picked up Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, so pretty excited to get down and play those titles. Outside of that, though, not a whole lot, just kind of enjoying some, fresh days off and stuff here and there.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with some days off. We all need that, especially when you are as creative as we are. It's nice to recharge the batteries, sit down, and just enjoy life, But we're going to do a lot more enjoying today because we are jumping into, that news.
This week in Geek.
So, hot off the oven, it looks like we are getting fresh news that Keanu Reeves is passing the role of Kraven on the Spider-Man villain role, and this is not to be confused with the MCU, as I originally thought. This is actually Sony's Pictures universe of Marvel characters, the SUMC, excuse me. So, pretty interesting news. Tom, I think you kind of said it best earlier when we were discussing it. He's probably trying to keep his roles open for something better.
Yeah, I definitely think that Keanu's the type of guy who knows his value and definitely wouldn't want to tie himself to a character who isn't necessarily a blockbuster character, but also, I mean, probably some of it has to do with tying himself to Sony. He knows if he hitches his ride to Marvel's actual cinematic universe, a little bit more bang for the buck there. Now, the first thing, I mean, we're talking about movies, right? So I'll jump into my first little bit of news, which is movie related. And we actually got an official date for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and that is April 8th, 2022. But what I really enjoyed about this little teaser that they released was the updated version of the Emerald Hill Zone theme song. That is just such an iconic song for me. I as soon as I heard it, I was just like, I started doing the kind of like the Rockaway. I don't know, I'm kind of old, so maybe you guys wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I was kind of hyped. And then I actually tied with that, saw a little bit of news that apparently Jason Momoa is in talks to voice Knuckles the Echidna. That is not substantiated at the moment. It's just a report that's been floating around the internet that Paramount Pictures is talking to him. I think that would be a huge pickup for that franchise.
Yeah, I think just going off his voice alone, that would be a pretty fleshed out role for him. I could see him being Knuckles and absolutely just slaying it.
For sure.
So, touching base on something that we kind of addressed, I want to say a couple months ago, it looks like U.S. President Joe Biden is pausing the legal action against TikTok and WeChat, as far as we know. Now, those apps were looking to be banned, just because what was it again, Tom? They had connections to like Chinese giving away our information or something like that?
So that was the story that certain political parties were pushing, but there was also another narrative where it actually coincided with a bunch of young people who were using TikTok and actually purchasing tickets to Donald Trump events, therefore not letting actual Trump supporters show up to those events. We don't know, it's hearsay, but I think it's actually good to see that, you know, they're stepping in and just letting that platform be, because honestly, we all know what we're getting into when we carry a cell phone. Our information is out there, it's everywhere, and a lot of people have found success using the app TikTok. It's this current version of, you know, your American's dream and your claim to success and building up your own franchise. So just let it be. It's not hurting anyone at the moment. So in my opinion, definitely good news. Now, for all you bronies out there, this will be good news for sure. Looks like Paramount Pictures has announced that the sequel to the original My Little Pony film is going to Netflix instead of theaters. Now, it was expected to come out September 24th. We just know that it'll be on Netflix in 2021 with no actual release date. Once again, another example of a studio understanding the climate. When I say the climate, you know, we're still dealing with that COVID-19 pandemic, and it just makes sense to release your blockbusters or your anticipated films in a way where people can sit at home and just really enjoy them.
You know, and to be honest with you guys, I'm not a brony, but my daughter absolutely loves My Little Pony. So I feel she's going to be way excited when I get to tell her that we can sit on the couch and watch a brand new movie coming out, and we don't have to wait in line at the movie theaters.
There you go.
Now, one thing I want to finish the night off with is something that is, lack of better words, I guess a heavy hitter for me. It looks like Ray Park is fueling speculation of Darth Maul's return. Now, on his Instagram, we've seen what looked like to be, I guess you would call the headdress, the latex part that you would put on top of the scalp, and the caption is pretty much "Meet me on Darthomir, Sith life." So, I mean, you could do the math on that one. Pretty exciting news right there. And with the way Star Wars is heading, who's to say, you know, which project this could pertain to?
Yeah, this is really exciting, and it's my first hearing about it. I would love to see Ray Park reprise that role. Honestly, the character is probably one of the coolest characters on screen in the Star Wars universe who just didn't get enough screen time, and it's really sad. And, you know, we saw him recently, though the character that is, in the Solo film, and it was really sad that they, you know, had a completely different person for the voice. Completely, I think it was actually CG, if I'm not mistaken. So if they do decide to bring Ray Park back, they're making a good choice. Fans are definitely going to be excited. And as you said, is it Mandalorian? Is it one of the new shows? Is it animated? Is it for a video game? Who knows? The universe continues to expand. Now, my last piece of news for you today is kind of a controversial one. So it turns out that Microsoft's Edge extension store, it was actually hosting a bunch of illegal copies of some of the most iconic games in gaming history. You know, Mario Kart 64, Super Mario Brothers, Pac-Man. They even had copies of Minecraft. Now, what was interesting about this is that the developers listed on all of the aforementioned games were not even known developers. There was no Nintendo, there was no Mojang. It was just random names. Apparently, there was 35 different listings. You could actually download these games in your browser and play them on your desktop PC. Now, as of today, there has not been any legitimate comments from Nintendo or even Microsoft, except for the fact that they did tell The Verge they're looking into the situation.
So when you hear that, you know what's happening next. And I'm wondering how big of a lawsuit we're going to either see or, what, it's going to get shut down, but exactly what's going to happen afterwards, especially with that type of heat on it. Nintendo really does not pull punches when it comes to their property or intellectual property, anything being taken like that. So with that being said, guys, that does wrap up our news for this week, but stay tuned. We have some new titles coming right up for you.
Fresh Balls.
All right, starting off this week, I'm actually going to begin with a title that, I got to be honest with you, was a little underwhelming. That is S.W.O.R.D issue number 3, written by Al Ewing, and we've got art from Valerio Schiti, Ray Anthony Height, and Bernard Chang. Now, for me, the reason why this book just wasn't all that was because the first 2 issues really hyped things up and had me super interested. But in this one, we start off, Earth is still covered in Null's symbiotic darkness, and we're following a mutant by the name of Manifold. Now, this mutant is fairly new. I've never seen him before other than in these S.W.O.R.D books. And he has the ability to travel anywhere in the universe as long as he remembers where he started from. I got to be honest with you. The book it just seems like a filler book. Like they're showing us things that'll eventually be important, but right now just kind of falls flat because I guess there's just no action, and that kind of kept me like hoping something big was going to happen, and it never did. All in all, though, the character himself, though, that Manifold character, really, really interesting, and I do still want to see where he goes as far as S.W.O.R.D is concerned. One thing, though, to take away from this, you do notice that humans are more and more afraid of mutants, and they are starting to realize that mutants are the future, a future where humans do not exist.
So, with that being said, do you think this is starting to build up some animosity between the humans and the mutants?
I mean, there's always going to be the animosity between humans and mutants. That's kind of what drives the X-Men mythos and the entire, mutant part of Marvel. I feel like this is really almost, to a certain extent, I'd say this is like coming to a head. Like we're about to see a moment in this whole dichotomy that's going to be unlike any other.
I gotcha. Now, speaking of something coming to a head, Future State Dark Detective Chapter 3. This was such an interesting book. This is something that I was kind of waiting for, and Tom, I know you made a mention of these two finally coming head to head, and that is Bruce Wayne with the new Batman. Now, we start off with this TV enterprise. This CEO of it's armor technology. I want to say it's called Plexitex. He's assassinated in his house playing this virtual reality golf. And it's wild because they had no idea who did it. The magistrate's not pinpointing any masked vigilantes yet. And Bruce is trying to figure out who did it and why. And he's been trying to fly fish these nano drones, but they keep exploding and they keep getting more advanced as he tries to capture more and more. And eventually he does, but then he gets swarmed by them. On his way out, though, that's when he meets the new Batman. And it's really interesting because this new Batman is wearing all of his suit. And it's pretty much like, who are you? Like, he doesn't even recognize that Bruce Wayne is the old Batman. And it was so awesome because at the end, the new Batman's pretty much like, don't come out tomorrow night. And Bruce was pretty much like, that's my line. Yeah, I know. I just thought that was such an awesome interaction. Things really start to get heated, though, the night after because Bruce does not stay in. And those drones... they know where he's staying at, and his hideaway is kind of blown to cover. He also makes a very interesting discovery on who actually did kill Chester. So with that being said, guys, definitely recommend this book this week. It definitely it upped the ante really hard. This was written by Markio Tamaki with art being done by Dan Morrow.
So I gotta ask, and I always go back to this as far as DC's continuity and things like that. How do you feel Future State is going to affect things once it's all said and done? Are we facing another New 52 type moment where everything is gonna reset?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I try to speculate and I try to look into it. As far as I know, Future State is like some supplementary comics, and there's something going behind the scenes with the issues that are supposed to be out right now. I forgot what happened, whether it was DC doing the editors wrong or something going on with the editor size. I haven't really looked into that. But that's what I'm led to believe, because I think this is only a 2-month thing, and then after that, it's done.
Okay, I think it's interesting because it seems like over the last couple of years we've seen DC reset their continuity just way too many times, and it's almost like, guys, calm down, stick to one thing for more than a year. But my next book for the week, this one was a little bit better for me. I was excited to get back into some kind of action here, and that's X-Force number 17, written by Ben Percy, and we've got art from Joshua Cassara. Now, this book takes a look at what death and rebirth is like for a mutant, and we get to see a lot of depth from a character by the name of Kid Omega. And he's been around since the beginning of this run, but we really never got to see him fully fleshed out. And this was our opportunity, and I gotta say, really dug it, really loved his introspection as to, being able to die and know that you're gonna come back, and how that could affect a person. I mean, immortality may not necessarily be all it's cracked up to be. But what's really cool is eventually towards the latter part of the book, we end up seeing some documents that show Krakoans are also, not only able to bring people back to life, but they're actually able to affect the genetic makeup of a person during the resurrection protocols, hair color and even penis size. Now, the book does hide a dark secret, and it's one that goes back to the first couple issues of the run. And even though Kid Omega has been reborn, I honestly left this book thinking, I wonder if it might have been better if he was just left dead.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much to say. It sounds like an interesting read, but I don't know. I guess it seems kind of cool.
You're wondering about the penis size, huh?
No, I thought that was kind of tacky. But I thought it was kind of interesting. You said he does kind of reflect on like maybe not the so bright things of being immortal and how it's not all it's cracked up to be. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. What do you think is going to be leading into the issue after this, though?
Right now, within the mutant universe in Marvel, there are just so many opposing factions hiding in the shadows. And since we're still dealing with the King in Black, we're still dealing with Null, I got to be honest with you, I have no idea where we're going to be headed, because it could be any one of the like 8 different shadowy organizations that are trying to take down the mutant state Krakoa.
I gotcha. Well, one thing that I do know for a fact is Future State Teen Titans issue number 2 finally given us a little bit of what we were striving for last issue, and that is Red X. We get to see Red X up front and center with Deathwing, and they are confronted by none other than the Teen Titans, and it looks like it's about to be an epic showdown, but all hell is kind of breaking loose because the Teen Titans are actually fighting, I think, pretty much the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They're called the 4 riders of the apocalypse, and they're all pretty much their dead friends. I know 2 of them for sure was like Roundhouse and I want to say Wally West. And these guys are just phenomenal. The Pestilence, Famine, War, and Death, I want to say, are the names, and they're just gruesome, and they are holding nothing back. And it is wild to see all these forces combined: Red X, Deathwing, and everything. And Deathwing, by the way, is Dick Grayson in a Deathstroke Nightwing looking suit. It's bad. It's bad. It's beastly. So I mean, things are getting brutal, and things, oh man, it left me hanging by the edge of my seat. And they are all trying to get everyone in a center for Raven to, of course, lure this huge spell. It's not going the way they're going to hope for. Now, this is being written by Tim Sheridan and has art done by Rafael Sandoval.
So it sounds to me like you were definitely digging Deathwing and Dick Grayson's transformation in this current run. Do you hope that this is something that sticks around with the character long after Future State is said and gone?
So I know Future State is supposed to be in the future, so that's, I mean, there's a lot of potential for how things can lead up to that, because, you know, as we tried to explain before, this is something that's like 10, 20 years in the future, and I think this is a really awesome, you know, perspective of him. So to answer your question, yes, I would hope to see more of this, especially with Deathstroke's daughter, like, in a relationship with Red Hood. Like, I think we have like some real big potential there. You know what I mean? I think we have some potential for some just flat out war to happen.
It sounds good, and I actually am intrigued, and I want to check out at least the character design. I think that'd be interesting to combine Nightwing and Deathstroke. All right, so I'm almost feeling normal, because I know I said S.W.O.R.D was kind of a bust, but it's just awesome to go 3 for 3 and have nothing but mutants to talk about. So this is Excalibur, issue number 18. It's written by Teenie Howard. We've got art from Marcus Toe, and hey, we're jumping right in where we left off on the previous issue, where Betsy Braddock has returned to the team right after the X of S.W.O.R.D event. The team's still feeling the fallout, gotta be honest with you. And we start to see Rogue kind of in this position where she's doubting whether this is really Bessie Braddock, whether this is really, you know, Captain Britain. And there was a cool moment where Rachel actually takes Rogue's glove off and gives her a bit of her psionic ability and tells her, you know, if you feel more comfortable, you know, use my power, try to talk with Betsy and see if you find, you know, what you're looking for, because obviously you don't trust her. And I gotta say, the book, you know, when you start to really move past the Betsy drama and see what's going on with Richter, and he's starting to unravel the future of possibilities for mutants, thanks to the wealth of knowledge that Apocalypse actually left behind for him, it's just crazy. You know, we already have the resurrection protocols and all that's going on, but we're starting to see that mutants working together is something that could really change not just human history, but the Earth's history. And once we get to the end, we end up facing a familiar face from Betsy's past, which it was really, really good to see, and really started to pump up the action, and my heart was racing for just a brief moment, because it was the last page of the book. But that was Psylocke coming back into the fold. And for those of you that don't know, for a long time, Betsy had actually inhabited Psylocke's body for years, actually, in the comics. So seeing them face to face, really excited to see what happens in the next issue. Keep giving me more goodness with the magic and fantasy involved in Excalibur.
So where do you think this is heading? What would you like to see happen, I guess, between the two? Maybe a showdown, or do you think they work together?
I think we're going to get a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure that this Betsy Braddock is not the real one. So I feel like we're going to get this moment where Psylocke and her are fighting, but then eventually they're going to realize, hey, we've got to find the actual Betsy, and then the team's going to work together to make that happen. Because right now the world is without a Captain Britain, and without a Captain Britain, they have no connection to Otherworld, which is the world where all the magic comes from in the Marvel universe. So I think it's very important, and they're definitely going to have to make sure they wrap that up with a nice little bow and get Betsy back.
No, absolutely. And I think if done correctly, this could turn to be something really pivotal within, you know, X-Men and Marvel as a whole, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. Magic's just getting way more popular within the Marvel universe right now.
So with that being said, that does wrap up this week's Fresh Polls. Tom, I got to ask, man, what's on your plate for the next upcoming couple of days?
Oh, man. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. No, I do have a meeting, a team meeting tomorrow, which is the actual start date for the Metroidvania Jam. It starts February 15th and ends March 15th. So a 30-day game jam. So the team's going to meet up tomorrow and kind of finalize a lot of the story points. And then it's off to the races. Start animating, start building, and doing a little more programming, because that's really something that I want to learn and I want to get better at. But what's up for you this week? I mean, any new games come out this week?
I don't believe so. Right now, I am just focused on playing catch up with a lot of my YouTube content creation. I have seen that there. So Mario Tennis Aces has this like North America Open on February 27th. So I actually got the game and I figured I would give it a go. I noticed on the back though, you can actually control the racket with motion of the Switch controller. So I'm actually thinking about trying, because it looks like it'd be a fun experience nonetheless.
Well, you'll end up matched up with Serena Williams or something like that.
Hey, I mean, you never know. And who's to say I won't take home the champion, you know?
Hey, it's totally possible. Just don't forget us little folk.
But with that being said, guys, that does wrap up this week's Talk Geekly. You could always catch us at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and so much more at Talk Geekly. And as always, why don't you send us off, Tom?
As always, keep it geekly.
What's that in the sky? It's a bird. It's a plane.